Okay, Karen, turning over to you.
All right, I am going to share my screen. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so I can't really see you all very well. So if you have a question and you want to interject, go right ahead, or I'll take questions at the end. So whatever works best for you. Um, my name is Karen Rademacher. I've been a instructor and volunteer with SCTC for I think almost 4 years now. I'm a retired water resources engineer. And I use computers all through my career, even though I don't consider myself a computer professional. Um, and in my working career, I mostly used Windows PCs, but on my retirement, I was free to change teams. So now I'm an Apple person and all in on Apple stuff. Today, we're going to talk about getting to know your Apple Watch. And Daryl, it is not an iWatch, it is an Apple Watch. And I don't even know if it was ever called an iWatch, but a lot of people do use that term. Today, we're going to talk briefly about the watch itself, the physical properties of the watch. I'm going to show you where the hidden user manual is. And then there are three apps on your phone which are important for using your watch. So that's why I have my phone mirrored on the screen here, is I'm going to be referring to the apps on the phone quite a bit. And then at the end, we'll talk about a few little fun extras for your watch. Um, if you already have a watch, and some of you might be watching this class just to see if you want to get a watch or not, but if you do already have one, I'm assuming it's already synced to your phone. And Apple is pretty good about walking you through that process. And once your watch is paired to your phone, it's difficult to replicate that process. So we're not going to go through that part today. And then just a note that your watch works closely with your phone and works best when you have your phone with you. So if you're on a walk, and you're using your watch maybe to count steps or something, it works best when you have your phone with you. Today, I am the off to the side here. I have an iPhone 17 running the latest operating system. And since I last did this class, I have gotten a new watch. My previous watch was an 8, I think, and now I'm running an 11. And actually, the watches haven't really changed that much from version to version, but there are a couple differences, and I'll highlight those along the way. Now, you're probably asking yourself, I can't remember what watch I have. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So just quickly, and you probably know this already, but if you want to switch out the band on your watch, you take it off, turn it over, and there's these two buttons on the back side of your watch. They're difficult to see. They're flush with the back of your watch. But if you push it in with your fingernail, it unlatches the band and you can slide it off. And when you put a new band on, you just slide it back in that slot. You'll hear it click, and then that means your new band is ready to go. It is important to have the right band for your watch, and they are easy to switch out. Your watch band should be what I like to say, not quite snug. If your band is too tight, that interferes particularly with the heart sensor, not to mention that it's uncomfortable. If your band is too loose, your watch and your phone will lose connection. It'll sense that maybe you've taken your watch off. In fact, it's just hanging loosely on your wrist. So it does have to be tight enough to maintain that connection with your skin. I've had the best luck with elastic bands. There's an elastic loop, which is just a continuous piece of fabric. But what I really prefer and what I have now is a Velcro watch band because then I can get it just right. Um, I have had the best success with Apple's own um, bands, but they are stupidly overpriced. And I've had mixed success ordering watch bands off of, say, Amazon. You can get like a six pack or a four pack of elastic bands for $10. I mean, they're very cheap, but you sort of get what you pay for. I found that sometimes those types of bands lose their stretch over time, but at that price, you can afford to replace it fairly often and still not spend the 40 or $50 that Apple would want for a single one of their Velcro bands. Let's talk briefly about the buttons that are on your watch. At the top right side is what's called the digital crown. It's the spinny thing. And if you press it in, it will return you back. It'll go back and forth between your apps and your watch face. And so that's a handy way to just get back to where you need to be, is to just press in that digital crown one time. Um, if you double click it, it takes you to what's called an app switcher. Um, I I just prefer to click it once and then go pick which app I want to use. If you press and hold it, you can talk to Siri. I don't talk to Siri on my phone, but some people do. And then on some screens, if you need to scroll around, you can actually spin that wheel and it will scroll through a list, say. Now,
Karen,
below the digital,
how do I
is
make
there a
myself a little bit?
question?
I don't want my name on there.
Um,
You know what I'm saying? There's a way to do that, but let's not get fancy because I don't want to lose anything.
okay.
Okay,
Maybe Daryl can help you. Below the digital crown is what's called the side button. And it's hard to see because again, it's flush with the side of your watch. But if you press that side button one time, it brings up what's called the control center, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you press and hold that side button, that brings up the screen to actually turn your watch off. And it also brings up an option to like make an emergency phone call. So be careful when you push that button because you don't want to call 911 if you don't mean to. There are other functions where the app might ask you to double click. And like if you're using Apple Pay with your phone, and I don't think very many people use that, but it might ask you to confirm your purchase by double pressing that side button. Now, if you have the highest sport model of Apple Watch, I think it's called the Ultra, there's a third button on the other side of the watch that has special functions. I've never had an Apple Ultra and I'm not familiar with what that button is for, but just FYI, there are some watch models that have that third button over there. Okay, when you are interacting with your watch, just like with your phone, there's different gestures you can use to make your watch do different things. And of course, the most common is to tap. And I think we all understand that. There's another gesture which is helpful that we're going to talk about later, which is you touch and hold. And I'll show you in a minute when that is useful. You can also swipe. There are some times when you move sideways to a different screen, and just like your phone, you use your finger to swipe across. There are two other functions, drag and double tap, and I just know that because I looked in the user manual. I've never actually used those gestures, but just for your information, they are part of your watch's function. Another interesting thing that the watch does, and your phone does not, is if you have the sound on your watch turned on and your watch is making noise and you want it to shut up, you can just put your hand over your watch and it will stop making whatever noise it's making. So that's a helpful tip, I think. Now, um, in normal operations, when you have your watch face showing, there's often an icon at the top of your watch. And typically it's a red icon, which means there's a notification that maybe you haven't seen. Um, and if you want to see what that notification is, you just put your finger on the red dot and swipe down, and it will show you, the text message or the email you missed or whatever. If there's a blue lock, that means your watch is locked and you need to, wake it up and put in your code to unlock it. And by the way, at any time, if your phone is locked, you can pick up your phone and unlock your phone, and it will automatically unlock your watch too. So if you fumble with trying to put the code in on that tiny little keypad on your watch, you can always unlock your phone and get the same result. There are probably 30 different icons that can appear up at the top of your watch, and most of them you will rarely or never see. But if you want to know what they mean, you can look in your user guide, and we'll get to that in a minute. Well, we'll get to that right now. There are 3 ways you can get to the user manual for your phone. And, remember when you used to get a new calculator or a new computer or a new device, you would get a big fat user manual in the box. And they don't do that anymore, do they? But the manuals still exist. You just have to know where to find them. So, a quick place to go is on Apple's website. They have all their user manuals, and this link here will take you to the user manual specifically for the watch. And I did put in the chat box at the beginning of the meeting some handouts where that link would be easy to access. And you can also go to the website, longmontsctc.org, and look for our handouts there. You can also get to the user manual on your phone, and I think this is actually the most helpful way to look at the user manual, and it's buried inside an app called Tips. And I love the Tips app. It's one of the lesser known secrets on your iPhone. But when you're inside the Tips app, you get all kinds of helpful tutorials and information about how to use your phone. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the main screen on Tips, here are the user guides. And so any device that you have paired to your iPhone, you can get to the user guide for it right here. So here's the one for Apple Watch, and there's a table of contents. And if you're sitting at the doctor's office and have nothing to do, this might be a good use of your time, is to browse through the user guide for your watch or even for your phone and familiarize yourself with some of the features you don't know about. But I was mentioning before these status icons. And so here's the whole list. As I mentioned, the red dot means you have a notification that you haven't read, but here's all the other different symbols that can show up at the top of your watch, and here's where you would go to find out what they mean. Now, also, You can get to, and I should have rearranged my apps better for this presentation. Inside the Watch app, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, but inside that app on the Discover tab is the Apple Watch user guide. And so you can get to it right there too. Again, there's Welcome to Apple Watch here, what's new and Watch OS. So lots of good information here to get yourself more familiar or answer your questions about your watch. So let's talk about the Watch app. Um, uh, at the bottom, there are 3 tabs: My Watch, Face Gallery, and Discover. We're going to talk about each of those separately. But on this main page, there's several sections. At the top, there's a search box, and sometimes you have to pull down with your finger to make that appear. There's a section called My Faces, and these would be the different watch faces that you have selected and configured just the way you like. And you can quickly on the fly change from one of these pre-configured faces to another. And you might just have one face there, and that's fine. You want to use your watch with just one appearance on it. But if you want to change your watch face with your wardrobe, you would, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute, you would pick out different faces, configure them just the way you like, and then add them to your gallery, and you can get to them very quickly. As you scroll on down, here's all the settings for your watch. And we're going to go through a few of these settings that I think are important. But there's a couple groups of settings here. And then as you scroll on down, it gets to a section of apps that are on your phone that work with your watch. And, or actually, these are apps that are installed on your watch. The first group are apps that Apple pre-installs on your watch and that you can't delete even if you wanted to. They're part of the package. But as you scroll on down past all of those, now we get to another set of apps, and these are apps that came along for the ride when you installed an app on your phone. So one of these that I really appreciate is United Airlines. I have the United app on my phone, and it has a companion app for the watch, and it gets installed automatically when I download the United app for my phone. And so now when I'm at the airport and they cancel my flight, I see it as a notification on my phone. So all of these apps here down at the bottom are the apps that came with a non-Apple default app that had a companion watch app. So that's kind of the orientation for the main screen on your watch app. I see a couple questions in the chat here. How do you get to the screen?
Yes. Yeah, I saw the watch app and I clicked on it, but when I clicked on it, something entirely different came
Yeah,
up.
sometimes at the top there'll be a big box with some information about an action you need to take. And it says here that you're seeing something about a software update. So
Yeah.
that might mean that while your watch is charging tonight, it's going to automatically install an update. But you'd have to read that message and see what it says.
Well, I did, and I did not update the software, and I played around with it, and just while you were talking, the fourth time I did something, it has a picture somewhat similar to what you had. But I have no idea how
Okay.
to do that.
I mean,
No
sometimes
idea.
On a lot of
Wasn't
these
anything I
app,
did that I know of, but it
Yeah.
must have been.
on a lot of these Apple apps, whether it's your watch or whether it's the settings app, there'll be a big message box at the top. And sometimes all you have to do is read it and go, okay, and then click an X and it goes away and it never comes back. But in the case of a software update, that message might stay there until you complete the action that it's asking you to do.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's walk through some of the settings on this watch app that you might want to know about or adjust. And the first section here is notifications. And there's this paragraph up here at the top that you're tempted to just blow right past, but it kind of has an important concept here that's worth thinking about for a minute. It says notifications appear when you're wearing your Apple Watch. They won't appear on your Apple Watch when you're using your iPhone. So that's actually kind of tricky language here, but what they're saying is if you have your watch on and your phone in your pocket and a notification comes in, it's your wrist is going to jiggle and you'll look at your watch and you'll see a notification, or you'll see that red dot and you'll swipe down and read a notification. Now, if instead you have your phone in your hand and maybe you're reading some news or texting somebody, and now another notification comes in, you're going to see it right on your phone because you're looking at your phone, and it's not going to go to your watch. So I guess what they're saying here is your notifications go to one or the other and never both. And if you already have your phone in your hand and it's unlocked, that's where the notification is going to go. So it seems intuitive once you're used to using your phone and your watch together, but I think the way they wrote that paragraph, it's almost cryptic. But in this notifications um, settings area, you have lots of toggles here, and I usually recommend leaving them the way they are. For example, you do want a notifications indicator. You want that red dot if there's something come through that you need to see. But maybe you don't want to be notified about every dumb thing that is competing for your attention. So at the bottom of the notifications screen is a list of all the apps on your phone. And again, they're grouped. The first group is the built-in apps, and the second group, and I take that back. These are both built-in and installed apps, and you can configure whether you want them to bother you or not. So if you have any one of these apps, you can decide whether you want the notification to be just like it is on your phone, or you can change it to something customized, or you could even turn notifications off. I find that Mirror My iPhone is the best setting for all of these, because if you want to get notified about something on your phone, you might as well get notified about it on your watch too. If you've already shut off a notification to come through on your phone, you probably don't want it on your watch either. So I think this Mirror My iPhone is really the best setting for all of these custom notifications here. Now, underneath notifications, we go down a little ways, and there's a section called App View. And when you click on that, here are the two ways that you can look at the apps on your phone. One is what they call a grid view, and you'll see all your watch apps like in a cloud. And the alternative is the list view, where you have to scroll in a long list of apps to find the one that you want to open, say. Um, Certainly, the grid view might be quicker, but I think this image right here kind of illustrates why I'm not a fan of the grid view. You can see that there are 4 orange apps here, all with little clocky things on them, and I can't tell which is which without a magnifying glass. So I prefer the list view where I can scroll through my list and find alarms and not try and guess which one of these is the alarms app. But some people like the grid view, so it's really up to you. Now, if you're seeing apps here that you think you're never going to use, you can go back to the notification screen, or you can actually uninstall the third-party app. So if you don't want your vacuum cleaner or even involved with your watch, you can shut it off. And that way there's one less app appearing in that cloud or on your list. All right. Going on down after app view. And again, I'm on the main page of the watch app right now. Next is general, and these are general settings, just like your phone has a general settings app. Here's where you can find out what kind of watch you have. So here it is, Apple Watch Series 11. And you can also rename your watch if you want to. Whatever name your watch has is what shows up at the top of the watch app screen. The other setting that is worth thinking about is this automatic app install. And I recommend having this on. And what this does is, like when I downloaded that United app, and it has a companion watch functionality. When I download the United app for my phone, it will automatically download the companion app for my watch. And I find it helpful to just have that be the default. And if I decide later on I don't like having that on my watch, but maybe I still like the phone one, then I'll just turn it off on my watch. And then I don't have to mess with it anymore. But I think it's a good idea to get it on your watch at the outset, see if you like it, and you can always turn it off if you don't. It's more difficult the other way around to have this shut off and then try to get an app on your phone or on your watch, I mean. Going on down below general, if you scroll down a little bit farther, there's a menu item called sound and haptics. Sound, your watch can make a little ping when you get a text. It can make all kinds of noises, which I find annoying. So personally, I have my watch set to silent mode. And kind of the nice thing about that is I also have my phone in silent mode. And when I get a phone call or a text or something, I don't bother anybody in the room. None of my devices make any noise, but I feel the jiggle on my wrist. And then I can look at my watch and decide, do I want to take the call or do I want to read the text or the email or whatever? And I just feel like I'm less disruptive to the other people in the room when I have both my devices on silent mode. And if you have your phone in silent mode, but you don't have a watch, you might miss a call because you don't feel the phone vibrate, sometimes depending on what pocket it's in or in your purse or whatever. But when you have both the phone and the watch silent, you're still going to know when that call's coming in because your wrist is going to jiggle. And that jiggling motion of the watch is what that word haptics is all about. And I find the default setting for haptics works just fine for me. My husband, with his watch, he had to switch it to prominent because he wasn't always getting the sensation of the watch letting him know there's a phone call. So if you find the watch isn't you aren't noticing when a call is coming in, you might consider switching this to prominent, and then you'll be sure to be aware of phone calls coming in. But anyway, my preference is to make my watch silent and then rely on the haptics to know when there's something going on. We kind of already talked about this, that as you scroll on down, below all these settings, there's then the list of the built-in apps, and then there's the list of the third-party apps. And again, if you regret having flight radar on your watch, you can just turn it off and it won't take up space on your list of apps and it won't bother you anymore. Now, let's talk next about the face gallery. So up to now, we've been on this main screen, the My Watch screen with all the settings. Let's shift over to this middle tab, and now we can look at face galleries. And every time I open this screen, it's different. I think Apple has a good time coming up with all these new and fun different faces that you can put on your watch. And what you want to do if you want a new watch face is scroll through all the available options and pick one that you like and go with it. So, for example, I randomly picked this watch face. Let me see if I got what you want to do once you've picked your watch face. I'll just pick this one. Is now I can customize it and I can change the color. There's just no end to all the changes you can make here. The dial, sometimes you could choose between a circular or a rectangular dial. For this particular watch, if I pick the circle shape, now I have the ability to add what's called complications. And these are the little extra things on your watch face that can actually display specific information, or even you can tap on it and do something. So on the slide here, I'm showing on my watch face, I have a calendar, I have the current temperature, I have heart rate monitor, and I have the workout icon. And we're going to talk about workouts later. But for this new face I'm going to add, maybe I want to have, look at all the dozens and dozens of options here, but I could have my battery, I could have temperature, bottom left is a 3-minute timer, and bottom right are alarms. And once I've got everything set the way I like it, I click add. And now when I go back to my watch and I look at my watch gallery, I've now got this new watch face that I configured just the way I like it, and I can switch to that watch face whenever I want to. And how do you do that? How do you switch to a different watch face? This one I can't demonstrate for you, but you might be able to do it yourself on your watch. What you do is this is that tap and hold gesture. So if you put your finger in the middle of your watch screen and just hold it there, you're going to feel your watch kick a little bit. And now that watch face is going to be smaller. The name of the watch face is going to appear. But now I can swipe right and left to all the different watches in my watch gallery and pick a different watch face. If you've only got one face in your gallery, that switching won't work. But if you have, and I think you can have as many watch faces as you want, you can just keep swiping until you come to the watch face you like. I did want to mention there is a category of watch faces called motion. And I've got, for example, here this butterfly watch face in the motion category. And every time you tap your watch, a new butterfly appears and he opens his wing and flaps him a little bit. And I can tell you that is a godsend for a wiggly toddler on your lap in church. So I have kept many a grandchild entertained with the butterfly face on my watch. So that's kind of fun. All right. We talked about the main page under My Watch. We talked about the watch gallery. On Discovery, again, the most important thing here is you can find some instructional videos and the user guide. So that kind of concludes the portion of the presentation about the Watch app on your phone. Before we go on to the other apps, I do want to mention Control Panel. And again, you get to that on that side button that's right below the digital crown. And when you click that, you get a screen, and I'm showing it on my slide in 3 parts because you have to slide with your finger to see all these different elements. Most of these I don't use, but the ones I do use, I love. And if you were in the meeting before it started, we were all professing our love for this one right here. This symbol is a picture of your phone, and it's calling out to you because it's lost. And I use this all the time. If your phone is in the house somewhere or in a couch cushion and you can't find it, you just hit that side button on your watch and you tap the lost phone icon, and your phone will start chirping, and you just repeatedly tap it until you can find your phone buried in the couch cushion. And I bet I use that once a week. I'm always losing my phone. Another feature on the control panel, I've never had occasion to use it, but I'm glad I know it's there. And that's the flashlight. And of course, you know what the flashlight is on your phone. It's the flash for the camera, and it just turns on and stays on. The flashlight for your watch is that your watch face will just turn completely bright white. So I suppose if you're locked in a closet and you can't see a thing, it might be useful to be able to turn your watch face completely white and use that as a flashlight. Of course, it would burn a lot of battery, but I guess I'm glad I know it's there. Here is a quick way to silence your watch. This is not silencing your phone. This is silencing your watch. And I already showed you in the Watch app in the settings how to silence your watch. But if you want to quickly turn it back on for some reason, this control panel would be a quick way to do that. You can look in the user guide to see what all these other control panel items are. And you can even edit to swap out or add different functions to your control panel. But again, I think the Find Your Phone setting is by far the most useful one here, and that I actually use all the time. Okay, so we talked about the Watch app. There are two other apps that work very closely with your watch. And the one we're going to talk about next is the Fitness app. And it's this black icon with the colorful rings inside it. And this used to be called the Activity app. And a while ago, they changed the name to Fitness. But as we'll see, they sometimes refer to it in other contexts still as the Activity app. So just know the Activity app and Fitness app are the same thing. Again, at the bottom, there are tabs here. There's the Summary tab, Fitness Plus, Workout, and Sharing. The Fitness Plus features require a subscription, and that would be a way for you to get guided workouts. You know, you could have your headphones on while you're on a walk or while you're running, and you would have somebody coaching you on how to do something. There's also strength workouts and yoga, and a lot of them even have a video on your phone while you're watching it. So this isn't so much a watch feature as it is a phone feature, but I just wanted you to know what it means. But what we see on this summary screen here is information about different data that your phone's been collecting about your fitness activities, walking, going upstairs. You know, your phone and your watch are always silently in the background collecting data about your activity, and this is the way that you see what that data is. So kind of the main philosophy, if you will, that Apple has for this fitness app is what they call activity rings. And this is their kind of motivational tool to help you monitor your fitness in 3 different areas and to maybe help you improve your metrics on those 3 areas. So the 3 areas are move, exercise, and stand. And your watch and your phone are working together to help you close your rings every day. And you can, if you want to, adjust what those goals are. I can't remember what the preset goals are, but if you click on that activity ring tile at the top of the fitness app, then you can scroll down here and there's a little plus or minus next to each one of these ring objectives, and you can decide what your goal is for the day. And so right now I've got this set for 30 minutes. If I wanted to change it, I could change it just for today to be something else, or I could change it to be from now on. This is going to be my new daily goal. And you can do that for standing and you can do that for movement. So as you go about your day, your watch and your phone are monitoring how much movement you're doing, how much exercise you're doing, and if in the judgment of your phone and watch you meet the criteria, then your rings will be closed for the day. And you can see up here a little calendar that shows how well you've met your goals over the last a month or so. And it's kind of interesting. I was quite sick through the end of January into February, and you could see I did not close my rings very often. So I hope I'm back on track now that I'm feeling better. Um, so that's the ring feature under the fitness app. Also here, these different tiles are giving you information about other things. So here, for example, you can see your step count for today. So I went on my walk this morning and logged 7,000 steps. When I click on that tile, I just see today. If I click on well, I see today, and I can also adjust to see other time periods. I can also click on this invisible arrow thing and see additional information. So you can see that on each one of these tiles, you can either click on the tile itself, or you can click on that little nearly invisible arrow and see more data. I should mention that the fitness app kind of gives you quick and simple data displays here. If you want to really see all the nitty-gritty detail, you'll want to look in the health app, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that app can show you much more granular detail on all this stuff. Now, we're going to talk in a minute about workouts, and the step count works even if you don't have a watch. Your phone will sense the movement of you walking and it will log steps. But workouts are something that you can only do if you have a watch. And you start a workout with your watch. I'll show you that in a minute. And then you stop it. And then right here, you can see the details of your workout. And so in this case, this is the walk I took this morning. I went just over 3 miles. There's my heart rate, and even there's a map of where I went. So I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of fun. If I click on this arrow to look back and see my workout history. So that's a major feature of the Apple Watch, is being able to log these workouts and look at your history on that. As you do different activities, whether they're workouts or steps, Apple gives you awards. You can go into this tile, and I can see that I earned an exercise challenge award during the month of March. I wasn't even aware that I was in the running. And again, you can click on the arrow and see all the awards. You may or may not find this kind of thing motivating. The artwork is kind of pretty. So I don't know, it's just kind of fun to know that it's there. But it may or may not interest you. A lot of people find this whole activity ring thing more annoying than it is motivating. And so I will show you how to shut this all off if you don't like it. So if you want to kill this, you will go back to the Watch app. And on your My Watch tab, scroll down to activity, and see here it's called activity instead of fitness. And you will just turn notifications off. And now that whole ring business is not bothering you anymore. So another thing you can do, maybe you just think it's too much. Another thing you can do is just adjust those goals for your rings, and maybe make them more appropriate to what you're doing. Because if you hit the goal every day without hardly even trying, well, what's the point of that? Or if the goals are so difficult to achieve, you never close your rings, well, that's kind of defeating. So that might be a middle of the road approach, is to adjust these settings so that they're meaningful to you and motivating to you instead of annoying. So up to you. So let's talk now about workouts. On the way you trigger a workout, you can only do it on your watch. And so I can't demonstrate for you live, but I think I can coach you through it. And if you push the digital crown on your watch, the spinny thing, and scroll all the way down to the bottom and look for the little running man next to workout, that will bring up uh, a list of different activities, and you just scroll through them. You'll see walking, rowing, running, swimming, multi-sport, elliptical. There's, I don't know, dozens of different workouts here. You pick the one you want, you click the green start arrow, and then a workout has begun. And once your workout is going, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. That's a timer. It's monitoring your heart rate. If applicable, it will show you how far you've gone. And when you want to stop your workout, you just swipe to the right, and click the end button, and your workout is done. And I should mention that if you choose a walking or running activity and you do it for at least 20 minutes, your watch and your phone will work together to calculate something called VO2 max. And we'll look at that in a minute. But that's a good reason for logging your workouts, is to watch this metric change over time. So again, a workout can only be initiated on your watch. You either hunt for it in your apps, or what I do, one of the little icons on my watch face, I always pick one of them to be the workout icon, and then I just tap that and it brings up the workout screen, and I can start my workout. There are third-party apps or devices that know how to talk to your watch. So for example, I have a Peloton bike and it communicates with my watch. So when I'm doing a workout on my Peloton bike, it's collecting data and turning it into a workout, the same as if I had hit the little green man. And it's important to know that if you have a third-party device like a Peloton or Gymaholic or some of these other things, that sometimes your watch will say, "Oh, I see that you're riding a bike. Would you like to start a workout?" And it's like, no, Peloton already knows I'm working out. So you have to be aware that you might get double logged on some of these workouts. And after that happens a couple times, it seems like your watch learns that you have a Peloton and it doesn't bother you about that anymore. So just something to be aware of. So that's the fitness app. And I think if all you're interested in is looking at your steps, I think the fitness app is the right place to go on your phone to just quickly see what your step count is for the day or for the week. If you're not into the rings thing and you've shut it off, you might never look at this fitness app again. So it kind of depends on your interest and your activity level, whether this fitness app is for you, but it is an important app that works with your phone and your watch together. Let's talk now about the health app. And the health app on your phone is a white icon with a red heart in it. And a lot of the functions inside the health app integrate directly with your watch. So, like all the other apps we've looked at the bottom is how you navigate around this app. And the main screen is called the summary screen. And you can see right here it says pinned. So it's displaying here specific metrics that I have said I want to see these on my summary screen. And I'll show you how you can pin different metrics customized to what you want to see. Well, in fact, there's an edit button right here. There's two ways to do it. The functions that communicate with that your watch communicates to the health app are all of the activity stuff. So you can see the same stuff in the activity or fitness app as you can see in the health app, so they're redundant. But this is where you go to see your heart rate information. There's respiratory information that your watch is collecting and sleep. So we'll go through how to see all that kind of information that your watch is collecting. So again, the summary screen shows data that you've pinned that you want to see every time you open up the health app. To see all the stuff that the health app can do for you, you click on this search icon down here at the bottom. The previous operating system on your phone, it had a browse tab. So it was, this summary and sharing and browse. Now it's summary and sharing and a search icon. So if you're working on an older operating system, you might see browse down here instead of the search icon. But this will bring up all the different categories of information that you can refer to and edit and look at inside the health app. And there's quite a bit going on here. And a lot of this has nothing to do with a watch. So we're just going to focus on the items on this list that are watch related. So first, of course, is activity. And like I said, this is very redundant with what we see on the fitness app. So in addition to seeing this information about my rings and what activity I've done, look at all this other stuff. Active energy, walking and running distance. It just goes on and on and on. And then here's what I was mentioning to you about this cardio fitness. If you do a workout that's either running or walking, and it's at least 20 minutes long, your watch and your phone will work together to compute something called VO2 max. And it's just an estimate. I wouldn't take this number to the bank, but it is interesting to look at this metric over time. And it's indexed according to your age. And so yeah, over the past 6 months, you could see my fitness level drops in the winter, and especially when I get sick. And so I'm looking forward to getting my strength back and building this metric back up, because here's what it looks like over a year. And I've had my watch long enough now to know that I have very seasonal patterns to my fitness. And in the summertime, when I'm active and outside every day and doing work in the yard, my cardio fitness is much better than it is when I'm more sedentary in the winter. So this is a cool feature of the watch and the phone that just give me some general awareness about my overall health. But again, you're only going to get this information if you log a workout that's either running or walking and at least 20 minutes long. But there's a lot of good stuff to explore. It senses how many flights of stairs you go up. It's looking at trends. So that's kind of cool information, and there's a lot to explore there. Another category that I would encourage you to look at is mobility. And again, this might be one that you don't necessarily have to have a watch, but it is monitoring patterns about your walking and walking asymmetry. Are you walking with a limp? Are you favoring a leg? Um, how long is your stride? Are you steady? So that's some cool information there that's worth exploring. And then, of course, a big category on this menu here that's important and related to your watch is the heart category. Now, depending on the model of watch that you have, you might not have all the features that I'm about to show you. I know the earlier watch models, for example, cannot collect the electrocardiogram. So what you see on your watch and the functions that you have in the health app might be different depending on the watch model you have. But on this tab, you can scroll down and see different information about your heart over the past period of time, I don't know, day or two. There's even functions down here related to AFib. And I am not going to get into some of this more advanced metrics on heart stuff because I don't want to be perceived as giving you medical advice. We're just going to talk about heart rate monitor and ECGs. But if you have questions about the AFib stuff, read it in the user manual and maybe even talk to your doctor about it because I don't want to give you advice about that. But how to collect an ECG. This is kind of cool. Now this you have to do with your watch. You don't control it from your phone. And the way you collect an electrocardiogram is you're going to press in the digital crown and you're going to scroll down or fish around in your app cloud and you're going to look for the ECG icon, which looks like the little heart rate thing. And once you do that, a cloud of red dots is going to appear and it's going to tell you to hold your finger on the crown. Well, what you want to do first is get your arm flat on the desk or table in front of you. And then you want to rest your finger against the crown. And here's a pro tip. You don't push in the crown. You just gently rest your finger against it. And now a timer is going to start counting down from 30. And I'm just going to let mine go here so that I can show you when it's done. If you wiggle, if your finger leaves the crown or if you press it too hard, it's going to quit and it's going to want to start over again. But so far, I've been successful in getting an ECG and it's done. And it tells me I'm in sinus rhythm and I scroll down. And at the bottom, there's a place where it says done. So that's how you collect an electrocardiogram using your watch. And now, how do you find it? So again, if you're in this category screen, you go to heart, and one of the tiles you see here should be electrocardiograms. And if you click on that, here's the one I just collected just now. I click on it again, and now I can scroll through and look at it. And what's pretty cool is I can export it as a PDF. So here's like what the printed page would look like. And now I can share it. I can email it to myself, or I can send it in a text message to my doctor or whatever. So that's kind of cool. That's how that works. And if you've done a bunch of these, you can look at the whole list of them here. Another category of information that your watch is sort of collecting in the background is related to respiratory. And again, this is dependent on the model of watch that you have. So some of what you see here might not be available to you. A lot of this respiratory stuff is monitored at night while you're sleeping, if you're wearing your watch as a sleep monitor, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But even if you're not wearing your watch at night, which I don't, it will from time to time collect information about your respiratory rate and information about your blood oxygen. You can take a blood oxygen reading, and it's sort of like the ECG. This is something you do strictly with your watch. You want to push in the digital crown, and you're going to look for that blood oxygen app that has the red and blue circle. And if you tap on that, you'll get a screen that asks you to start. And I've got a screenshot here of what that looks like. And now there's a 15-second timer that's counting down. And it canceled on me because I was talking. But once you complete that, you can go look at the results of your blood oxygen reading. And you can see that from time to time, it randomly collects data about my blood oxygen level. Okay. Lastly, we will talk about the sleep functions that are available on your with your watch and phone working together. If you want to use your watch as a sleep monitor, you have to set up what's called a sleep schedule. And I will say, according to friends and relatives of mine, if you're really interested in sleep monitoring, you should probably get a dedicated sleep monitor device. I'm hearing that the watch is not the best or most accurate tool for monitoring your sleep, but it does work. I've used it. It's kind of interesting to see what your watch tells you about your sleep patterns. But again, if it's important to you and you want to monitor it regularly, you probably want to get a dedicated sleep device. So what you have to do is set up a sleep schedule. So on this sleep screen, you're going to go down to this sleep tile. And you're going to scroll down here to a schedule. And you'll need to set up a time to wake up and a time to go to bed. And you slide these different things. Once you've configured it the way you want, you click the check mark, and now your phone or your watch is prepared to monitor your sleep at night. And so, of course, now you have to wear your watch at night. And now you'll have to figure out, if I'm wearing my watch at night, when am I going to charge it? And these newer watches charge pretty fast. So if you do wear your watch at night, if you put it on the charger first thing in the morning, I bet by the time you're done with coffee and breakfast, it's fully charged. So it can be done. If you wear your watch routinely as a sleep monitor, you can then look at the data that your watch is collecting. And I think the last time I wore my watch, oops, See if I can scroll back. These purple bars are showing my the window. I think I don't even know what that means. How do I get to? Well, I apologize. It's been so long since I've used my watch for sleep monitoring. We can just look at this screen over here. You'll be able to see a display that looks like this. It will show your sleep pattern for one night. And so for this particular night, um, at the bottom, it's showing deep sleep. In the middle, it just shows sort of normal sleep, REM sleep, and the orange bars up here meant I was briefly awake. And then you can look at, consecutive nights of history showing your sleep pattern. So um, it's more a parlor trick than it is, I think, a real tool. But if you want to set it up, that's how you do it, and that's how you see the data. New with I think with the Watch 11 is the ability to set up this sleep apnea notification. And I have to say, I don't know anything about that. Let me see if I can get, yeah, here it is. I think if I was concerned about sleep apnea again, I'd get a dedicated device for that purpose. So I'm going to wrap up with a few other fun features that your phone or your watch can do. And again, you have to look on your watch to see this. I can't show it to you on the phone. But one of the apps, if you press in your button and scroll down to camera remote, you can use your watch to trigger the shutter on your iPhone camera. So you can set up your iPhone to take a group shot, and you can join the group and then use your phone to take the picture. And that's kind of fun. And after it takes the picture, it will even show you the picture on your watch face. Of course, it's practically impossible to see, but that's a fun feature. You can also answer your phone on your watch. And even if you have your watch in silent mode, if you can't find your phone and you know it's ringing because your watch, your wrist is jiggling, you'll hold your watch up and you'll see a face like this. If you just tap on the green phone icon, it will activate the speaker and you can, just like Dick Tracy, talk to someone on your watch. The sound is terrible. It will be hard to hear what the other person is saying, especially if you're in a noisy environment, but it can be done, and I've done it before. So good to know. Another thing that I use my watch for all the time is the timer app. So you press in the button and scroll down all the way to the T's. And there's the ability to set timers. And I use that all the time for my baking. And that way, if I'm outside, when the cookies are done, I don't miss it. My watch will remind me to go back in the house and get the cookies out of the oven. There's also a feature on your watch called Walkie Talkie, and I have gone through this setup one time and I got it to work. It was pretty clunky, but it can be done. This would actually be useful if, say, your spouse is down in the crawl space and you're up top and you're trying to communicate about something in your house. You could, if you both had watches on, you could talk to each other through your watches as a walkie-talkie and communicate to each other. I think kids would have a lot of fun with this feature. But like I said, it took some doing to get it set up, but it might be worth it depending on the application you need it for. And finally, I don't have an icon for this, but if you're using a watch and you have a Mac computer, when you can unlock your computer automatically if you have your watch on. So that's a slick feature that is for Apple Mac computer users. So that concludes the main part of my presentation here. And let me check the chat. Question from Peggy. How do you prevent the iPhone from constantly telling you it looks like you're working out? Let me open my phone here. I think you'll want to go to the Watch app. And on that first page, you'll want to scroll down to Workout. And there are reminders there about starting a workout, resuming a workout. Let me go back to screen share here.
I see it. Thank you.
Do you? Okay,
Yeah, I see
good.
it. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Good.
you'll just turn that off and now it won't nag you anymore.
good.
And then Madeline said she needed to leave, so she's off the call. I'll take anybody else have any questions they want to hit on here before we step away?
I've got another one.
Sure.
Um, how do you keep the watch face lit up for more than just a few seconds? I want to lengthen the time to like 15 seconds. If I like press
Ooh.
my the side of it so that it shows the clock, it
What?
it will go from all black to showing the clock. And then it will turn black again after only a couple of seconds. So there must be some setting for making that stay visible for a longer time.
Let me see if I can get there we go. I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but let's see if we can find it. So display wake duration.
Mhm.
So it looks like you have two choices, 15 seconds or 70 seconds.
Oh,
So just to repeat how we found that, I'm in the Watch app and I scroll down to display and brightness, and at the very bottom is wake duration. And I luckily stumbled on that answer real quick.
oh, mine is set on for wake for 15 seconds, but it's actually much shorter. So in real life, it turns off after about 7 seconds. So I'll just switch it to 70 and see if that
Yeah,
problem.
I'm
Okay,
trying.
thank you. Yeah. Okay.
I will
Okay.
do some further exploring on that after the meeting, and if I find something else, I'll let you know. But that that's my first answer is to look at that wake duration.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
This is very helpful. And very soon into the presentation, you made it the whole time worthwhile by saying all you have to do is cover up your watch if you want it to shut up. And that is very useful.
Good, good. All right. Anyone else?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
First, excellent presentation. I learned so much.
Good.
One tip I accidentally learned, I guess, with my watch is if you hold down the crown and say set timer for 15 minutes, it just does it and you don't have to scroll down to timer. Or I hold down the crown and say start my walk. It
Yep.
will keep track
So
of my walk.
what you're doing when you press the crown and hold it in is now you're talking to Siri. And yes, Siri can do all those things for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, again,
Okay,
if
Daryl, I think we're done.
yeah, thanks everybody for attending. And again, I'll remind you that The information is linked on our website, longminesctc.org under the Apple tab. And as soon as I get around to it, I'll put the video up on our YouTube channel. And that again is linked from our homepage also. So thanks for everybody attending. Let's gonna end the meeting now.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Sarah, you didn't want me to end the meeting.
You're muted, sir.